A coffin is lowered into the earth, but something feels different. Instead of lying flat, like almost every burial you've ever seen, the coffin remains upright, as though the man inside is still seated. To an outsider, it may seem mysterious, even unsettling. But somewhere in Africa, in the eastern part of Nigeria, in the prestigious tribe of Igbo land, this is not an accident. For generations, certain men have been buried this way, not because they were kings, but because they belong to one of the most respected traditional institutions in Igbo history. They were also title holders.
Now, the question is this: who are the other title holders? Why are they buried sitting? Then, how and why do they pay for their own funerals?
An also title holder is far more than an elderly man with traditional title. Across many Igbo communities, the Ozo institution represents one of the highest social and spiritual honors a man can achieve. Traditionally, an individual could not simply inherit the title. He had to earn it. The process often required years of preparation, significant wealth to sponsor elaborate ceremonies, and most importantly, a reputation for honesty, generosity, wisdom, and integrity. Once initiated, an Ozo title holder became a custodian of tradition. He settled disputes, preserved customs, performed sacred rituals where appropriate, and served as a moral example within the community. His words carried weight because they reflected not only personal wisdom, but also the collective values passed down through generations. In many communities, an Ozo title holder was expected to live a disciplined life.
The title was not merely a symbol of prestige. It was a lifelong commitment to leadership and responsibility. Note this: to many Igbo people, becoming an Ozo does not only mean preparing to serve the living, but eventually to join the honored ancestors. Now, one very important question is this: how did this Ozo tradition start? When did they start? And why did they start it?
Long before colonial rule or the arrival of Christianity, Igbo society had already developed sophisticated system of governance. Unlike centralized kingdoms ruled by powerful monarchs, many Igbo communities were governed through the councils of elders, titled men, family heads, and age-grade associations. The Ozo institution emerged within this system as one of its most respected pillars. Although historians debate its exact origins, many believe the institution has existed for centuries, evolving alongside Igbo civilization itself. The title became closely associated with justice, community service, and the preservation of sacred customs. Receiving the Ozo title was never simply about wealth. While wealth often made the expensive initiation possible, the community also expected the candidate to possess character worthy of respect. This balance between material success and moral responsibility helped shape the institution's reputation. Different Igbo communities developed their own versions of Ozo traditions. The rituals, clothing, symbols, and initiation ceremonies often differed from one town to another.
Now, one idea remained remarkably consistent. An Ozo title holder was expected to represent the dignity of the community in both life and death. One very amazing thing about the Ozo title holders: they pay for their own funeral. But why and how? I must tell you the truth. To bury an Ozo title holder costs a fortune. It's very expensive. In today, it costs between the range of 100,000 to 200,000 US dollars. In some cases, it might cost lesser, but it's often very expensive. Now, I know that sounds outrageous. You have one question on your mind, which is, what is the family of the title holder cannot afford such amount of money? And why does the burial funeral of an other title holder cost that much? Well, let me explain. One of the lesser known requirements for becoming an other title holder is that the candidate may be expected to set aside resources for his own funeral and burial rites before receiving the title. Depending on the community, this can take different forms. A fixed amount of money deposited with the other society or traditional institution. Contributions of livestock, drinks, or other ceremonial items reserved for the future funeral rites. Payments into a communal fund that helps finance the burial when the title holder dies. In some places, the initiate is required to demonstrate that he has already made adequate financial arrangements so his family will not bear the burden. The idea behind this practice is deeply practical as well as symbolic. An also title holder is expected to embody wisdom, foresight, and responsibility. If he cannot prepare for his own funeral rites, he is seen by some community as not fully prepared for the responsibilities of the title. By making these arrangements in advance, he ensures his family will not be plunged into debt after his death. His burial will be conducted according to tradition. The dignity of the other institution is preserved. The community is not forced to raise emergency funds to honor him. This reflects an old Igbo saying that a wise elder plans for tomorrow while he is still alive. And this brings us to one of the most important questions today. Why are other title holders buried sitting?
The most striking tradition associated with some other title holders is their burial. Instead of placing the coffin flat, as is common in much of the world, certain communities position it upright, allowing the deceased to remain seated. This practice is deeply symbolic. Within these traditions, the other title holders does not leave the world as an ordinary individual. He departs with the honor and dignity he carried through his lifetime. Sitting has long been associated with authority. Village elders traditionally sat while hearing disputes. Respected leaders received visitors while seated. Family heads occupied honored seats during important ceremonies. The seated burial reflects that lifelong status. Rather than portraying death as a defeat, the position suggests continuity. The individual is imagined as entering the presence of the ancestors with the same dignity he displayed among the living. It is important to note that the custom is not practiced everywhere in Igbo land. Some communities maintain it, while others bury other title holders in the conventional horizontal position. In places where the seated burial continues, it remained one of the most visually distinctive funeral traditions in West Africa. For families who uphold it, the ceremony is not about spectacle. It is about fulfilling what they see as a sacred obligation to someone who devoted his life to serving the community.
Now, we've known why they are buried sitting, but what is the meaning behind the sitting position?
To truly understand the seated burial, we must look beyond the coffin itself. In many Igbo traditions, every action performed during funerals carried meaning. The clothes worn, the music played, the breaking of kola nuts, the sounding of the ogene, and even the way the deceased is honored all communicate something about the person's life and place in the society. By burying an other title holder seated, some communities express the belief that death does not erase the honor a person earned during life. Instead, it preserves it. The position suggests that deceased is not being cast down, but is departing with respect intact, ready to take his place among those who came before him. Some cultural scholars also interpret the posture as representing vigilance. Even in death, the elder remains a symbolic guardian of his family, lineage, and community, a reminder that the wisdom of ancestors continues to guide the living. While these interpretations differ slightly between communities, they all point toward the same central idea. The burial is not simply about how a man is placed in the grave.
I know you would love to know what happens to an Ozo after he is buried. Where does he go? What does he do? Stay with me. Let's move to the spiritual journey to the ancestors.
Traditionally, Igbo belief view death not as the end of existence, but as a transition from the visible world to the world of the ancestors. In many communities, ancestors are remembered as respected members of the family who lived honorable lives and continue to hold an important place in the spiritual memory of their descendants. They are honored through remembrance, family traditions, and cultural ceremonies. Within this worldview, an Ozo title holder occupies a unique position. Throughout his lifetime, he was expected to uphold justice, preserve customs, and serve the community with integrity. Because of these responsibilities, his passing is often treated not simply as the death of an individual, but as the departure of a custodian of a tradition. The burial ceremony reflects that transition. Songs, prayers, traditional rites were practiced, and communal participation all serve to acknowledge a life devoted to leadership and service. For many families, the seated burial symbolizes the belief that the elder approaches the ancestors with dignity rather than disgrace. Today, many Igbo families are Christians and combine church funeral service with selected cultural customs. Others have chosen to abandon traditional rites.
Yet, regardless of religious belief, one value remained remarkably consistent. An elder who lived honorably deserves to be remembered with honor. But then, why did some communities continue the traditions while others abandoned it?
Like many ancient customs around the world, the seated burial of Ozo title holders is gradually changing. One of the biggest reasons is the spread of Christianity. Many churches teach that all believers should receive similar funeral rites, placing greater emphasis on faith than on traditional titles. As a result, some Christian families choose conventional burials even when the deceased held an Ozo title. Urbanization has also played a role. Younger generations often grow up far from their ancestral villages and may know little about the customs their grandparents practiced. Modern cemeteries, changing funeral regulations, and the practical challenges of constructing upright graves have further contributed to the decline of the tradition. Yet, in some communities, the custom continues. For them, preserving the seated burial is not about rejecting modern life. It is about practicing a cultural identity that has survived for centuries. To those families, honoring an Ozo title holder in the traditional way is a final expression of gratitude for a life dedicated to the community.
Now, this brings us to one important question. Will the ancient tradition survive?
Across Africa, countless traditions have disappeared within a single generation. Others have adapted and endured. The seated burial of Ozo title holders now stands at the same crossroads. Some see it as an invaluable part of Igbo heritage that deserves preservation. Others believe cultural practices must evolve alongside changing religious beliefs and modern society. Whatever the future holds, one truth remains. This tradition tells a story far greater than a unique style of burial. It speaks of a people who believed that leadership carried lifelong responsibility, that honor should outlive death, and that those who served their community well deserve to be remembered with dignity. Perhaps that is why, in some corners of Igbo land, an Ozo title holder still takes his final journey, not lying down, but seated with honor as an elder among elders.
Let me ask a few questions. If your father was an Ozo title holder, would you allow him to be buried seated? And as a man, would you like to take this Ozo title if you were to come from this tradition? And also, lastly, As a woman, can you allow your husband take the Ozo title, or can you marry an Ozo title holder? Drop your answer in the comment section. Tell us what you feel or thoughts about the Ozo title. Thank you for watching.